Good morning. This is DRM News with your morning bulletin for today, Wednesday, November 20th. We bring you the top stories shaping the world this morning, from political meetings in the US to international tensions in Asia to updates on climate action. Let's get started. Our first story takes us to Washington, where US President Donald Trump has announced that he will meet New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani at the White House this Friday, November 21st. This will mark the first meeting between Trump, a Republican, and Mamdani, the Democratic socialist who recently won the mayoral election. The two have been vocal critics of each other in the past. Trump had supported Mamdani's opponent, while Mamdani has criticized Trump's administration policies. Earlier this week, Mamdani's team reportedly reached out to arrange the meeting, though they have yet to comment on Trump's announcement.
If you want to see what congressional Democrats wish to do to America, just look at the result of yesterday's election in New York, where their party installed a communist as the mayor of the largest city in the nation. South America.
Now, staying in US news, President Trump has also signed a significant bill concerning another high-profile controversy. On Wednesday, Trump signed legislation to release files from the Justice Department investigation into the late Jeffrey Epstein, who died in a Manhattan jail in 2019 while facing federal sex trafficking charges. The files are expected to provide new insight into Epstein's activities and his connections with influential figures, including Trump himself. Attorney General Pam Bondi confirmed that the Justice Department will release the material within 30 days, emphasizing a commitment to transparency. This move comes amid long-standing questions among Trump supporters about whether the administration had previously obscured details of Epstein's death. Shifting gears now to international affairs, tensions in Asia are escalating as Japan and China enter a new diplomatic standoff. The diplomatic rift began after Japan's Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi stated that a Chinese attack on Taiwan, threatening Japan, could trigger a Japanese military response. Beijing demanded a retraction, which Japan has refused. In response, China has imposed economic and cultural sanctions, including a travel boycott and import restrictions, while escalating hostile rhetoric against Takaichi. Analysts say the situation could worsen, likening it to the tensions following Japan's 2012 nationalization of disputed islands. Japan has attempted diplomatic engagement, but Chinese officials have remained firm, ruling out a potential meeting between Takaichi and China's Premier Li Qiang during the upcoming G20 summit in South Africa.
What we understand is that this success has troubled the Chinese. They felt that she would be a short-lived prime minister, an unsuccessful prime minister. But with this successful foreign policy outing, I think they felt that it was an important time to start putting pressure on Japan. So I expect that if Takaichi does not walk back her comments, which I don't think she will, right now her favorable ratings I think is at about 80% in Japanese society, and Japanese society resents China's disinformation campaign that has been disseminated globally to somehow sully Japan's its superb post-World War II international reputation as really a country that is invested in peace. Continue to show the Japanese counterpart bowing in a very apologetic way, and the Chinese diplomat being quite dismissive and disrespectful to the Japanese. And I think, again, this is to show the Chinese people that China has stood up and that it will not be bullied again through some false narratives. And so I don't think we're at the peak point. Actually, I think we're just starting. China's just starting in terms of the pressure that it's going to put on Japan.
From Asia, we move to Europe, where the spotlight is on Ukraine amid growing concerns over corruption. Hungary's Foreign Minister, Peter Szijjarto, has called on the European Union to halt financial aid to Ukraine following corruption reports. The statements come after two Ukrainian ministers were fired over a $100 million corruption probe related to the state nuclear agency, raising questions about governance in President Volodymyr Zelenskyy's administration. EU leaders, including representatives from Sweden and Poland, emphasized that any peace plan for Ukraine must involve the European Union, signalling the continued international focus on Ukraine's stability.
So if Brussels and the leadership here in Brussels was normal, then they should have stopped the payments to Ukraine, and they immediately should have demanded for a financial clearance. We have to know what for the money of the European taxpayers was spent in Ukraine. The whole global media circulates the news about the operation of this corrupt system, of this war mafia. And I have to tell you, this is the most moderate expression that I'm going to use now. It's crazy that the President of the European Commission sends a letter to the member states to give another 100 billion euros to Ukraine. Come on, I mean, are we crazy? So there's a war mafia, a corrupt system working in Ukraine, and then the European Commission President doesn't even mention it in her letter, and instead of stopping the payments and demanding for immediate financial clearance, she wants to send another 100 billion to Ukraine. I mean, come on, this is insane. This is a scandal.
Finally, a positive note on global cooperation as countries prepare for next year's UN Climate Summit. Turkey will host the UN Climate Summit next year, while Australia will lead the negotiations among governments, according to Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. The arrangement resolves a long-standing dispute over hosting rights for COP31. The summit will serve as a key forum for global climate action, balancing Turkey's goal of promoting solidarity between developed and emerging economies, with Australia's focus on the Pacific region and low-lying island nations threatened by climate change. That's your morning news bulletin for today, bringing you the latest in US politics, international diplomacy, and global cooperation. Stay tuned for more updates throughout the day.
No, we're very pleased with the outcome. Turkey will host the conference, but Australia, by having the COP presidency for negotiations, will be in a very strong position, and some might argue in the strongest possible position, because we will benefit from having Pacific issues and the issues confronting Australia that we know Australia is particularly vulnerable for the extreme weather events which we are seeing more intense and more frequent.